So today we're going to talk about video. Is it 4 or 3? I think it's 4. I think it's 4. And it's tension. And here's something that absolutely changed my life. And it started in, oh my goodness, I don't know when Robert Fritz wrote the book, The Path of Least Resistance, but it was several years ago that I came across his training. And it really changed my life. Now, I want to be clear. Manifestation in general, hypnosis, all the stuff I learned about quantum physics, neuroscience, that had all preceded this. So I had already gone from living on food stamps with a repossessed car and 2 little kids and welfare to over time, becoming a college professor, writing many books, having a coaching practice, a real estate practice. So I had already grown immensely from where I was, but there was always this missing piece. And I read that book and some things really clicked for me. So I kind of took what made the biggest difference for me and I cobbled it together with what I know about neuroscience and quantum physics and just the science of intention and the subconscious mind. And I put that all together and I'm like, oh my God, I have my own unique coaching model that is not like any of these, how to manifest millions, or I'll teach you the law of attraction, or how to change your mindset, or how to sell anything to anyone. I have my own beautiful model that really, I think you have to think what you do is the best, right? If you don't, then obviously you're not following the model that I teach, because that's when our creativity is flame. When we get lit about something and it lights us up, that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? And so for me, it's always been conscious creation. And I've always changed it, or excuse me, I've always called it manifestation. But because manifestation is so diluted, the term and law of attraction, and I don't say this to brag, but I wrote my first manifestation book for women 3 years before the film The Secret was out. So, I've been studying this stuff a long time. I'm just a research writer, not a get out there and make movies and speak on stages type of person. So I'm always behind the scenes, working. And I'm telling you that this model that we have the 5 videos on, and I've interspersed them, so you kind of have to look around. It starts out with the vision, understanding the minds, and then structure. And this is 4. So this is video 4. This is tension. And there's only one more after this in this series. So tension. Here's what's really golden. Remember I explained in the structure in the last video where I held up a little whiteboard and I had the circles, like this is the box of circumstances and this is the box of possibilities, right? We want to be in that box. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter which box you're living in. There's always going to be a gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Let me explain it. If you are in the box of circumstances, you're working 9 to 5 or you're marketing and you're not getting anywhere, but what you really want is to make $200,000 a year with ease and flow. There's obviously a gap between the two, okay? And we call that gap tension, like a rubber band. Here's what you have and here's what you want. No. There's tension in between there. Got it so far? All right. If you are living in the box of possibilities, where you're in touch with what you really want, and you're in what we call creative mode, you know what you want, to create, and you're excited about it, but you're still at the bottom of the stairs, and where you want to be is over here. You're still in the same situation, both ways. That's also a gap. And it's also tension. The difference between the two is that one form of tension, will drive you to resolve the tension in a way that is not conducive to getting you the end result. So in the box of circumstances, where you have the gap, here's what I'm doing I'm not happy with, mostly because I'm doing things I don't really want to do so I can eventually do what I think I want to do. right? And here's what you really want. That's a big gap, and it gives you tension. But because you don't know how to resolve the tension, and let me be really clear, human beings must resolve tension. I'll go into that a little more. I don't want to go back and forth. So because you have to resolve the tension, because we can't stand tension, you'll do it in unhealthy or unproductive ways. Some examples of resolving tension from the structure of circumstance might be drinking, overeating, gambling, shopping, going out with friends, anything to get you to break the tension, anything to get you away from the uncomfortable feeling, to get you out of discomfort is where most humans go. And it could be not damaging. It could be going to the gym. It could be cleaning the house. It could be productive, but it's not productive in that it's going to get you closer to your end result. Okay, that's when you're in the structure of circumstances and you have that tension because you're sitting here not really happy with what you want, knowing that's what you want, and you don't have it, that creates tension. It's natural. It happens in nature. Okay, and you will resolve that tension because you can't stand it. You can't stand it. Okay, now before we go to the other structure of possibilities, let me explain what I mean about tension being something that we have to resolve. Everything in life is about tension. All of Hollywood is built on tension. Listen, if you watched a movie and it was a man and a woman and they loved each other and they held hands and they walked in the park and everything was beautiful and nothing ever happened, only good things, would you watch that? You may say you would, but I guarantee you're going to get bored. Why? Because we live for tension. We are addicted to tension. We want to see that he's having an affair, or we want to see that she just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Not that we want to see that, but now there's a problem. In what is his name? Joseph Campbell. Oh, how could I forget that? He in the hero's journey. Someone else, I think his name is Rick Voigt, wrote a book that I studied immensely because I'm a writer, right? And when I was working on screenplays, and it's called The Hero's Journey for Writing. And he gives these examples from Lion King to Star Wars of how everything follows the hero's journey. And in that writing, in Joseph Campbell, they call it the conflict. And you can call it the conflict. It's here's what you have and here's what you want. Whatever you want to call that thing in between, I call it tension, but you can call it conflict. You can call it the gap. But tension really makes a lot of sense because it's uncomfortable when you have something and you want something and you don't have it. All right. So we get the tension. We get all of drama, like back Shakespeare. Hello, Hamlet. It's all tension. It's all about this conflict. Usually in all good literature and all good theater and all good filmmaking, it can't just be physical. It can't be, he got in a fight. There's got to be inner tension and inner growth. But if you think about it, you'll notice that the stories, and I'm going across all forms of media, even on social media, stories that just have external tension, you lose interest right away. I mean, maybe you don't lose interest right away, but you aren't invested. But when there's also emotional and inner tension going on, that's when you get hooked. Like, what were they thinking when that happened? That's where we get the rubberneck from. Like, what happened? They were just driving and all of a sudden they got in a wreck. Like that tension is like, I got to know. So tension has to be resolved. Tension has to be resolved. Let me give you an example now, before we go into the box of possibilities, of tension, how you resolve tension in your life in a productive, positive way. Let's say you're going to have a dinner party and you look in the refrigerator and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to make Chateaubriand, but I got no Chateau and I got no Briand, so I better go to the grocery store. That's a tension. Here's where you are now. That's what you want. There's a gap. You have to resolve that tension But in that case, you're going to be motivated to do it because you're having a dinner party. You see that? Another one is if you come home and you're used to having a very organized home, like everything has its place, and you come home and, you know, maybe the kids were over, the grandkids, and it's just all messy. That's attention. It's going to make you uncomfortable because you know how you like it and you don't have it like that. So you're going to use that tension as a motivating force to energize you so that you can put the house back to normal. Does that make sense? So that is closer to what we're talking about. So now let's go into the box of possibilities. Here you are doing stuff you don't necessarily like to do, but there's the end result that you love. Still tension, still a gap, but because you're focused on the end result that you love, and it's something that you can create, and you make choices every day to work on creating that, the tension is going to be motivating, not avoiding and compensating. So when we're in the box of structure, or excuse me, of circumstances, that tension, like, here's what I got, that's what I want, I'm gonna go shopping, I'm gonna go to the gym. It's avoidance. It's avoidance. And or we do things to compensate for it. Like, well, maybe I'll just spend another $1,000 on postcards and market. That's it's a compensation type of tension. And it's not going to take us there. And it's because, this is important, it's because we're looking at what we want without connecting to it creatively. So we're sitting in the circumstances. When we're here in the box of possibilities, we have an end result, and it came right from our superconscious mind. We know what we want to create. It's in our heart, and we just start creating it. And anytime we come across tension, we're like, okay, let's move it forward. You know, I'm doing another video. I'm not doing it this week, but next week on anger and how we can channel it. People think, oh, anger's bad. No, anger creates tension. Like, this is where I am and this is where I want to be. I got to go. What can I create now? When we're coming from a creative perspective, that end result is an invitation. When we're living in circumstances, that end result is a far off dream. We're not even in touch with it. So of course the gap seems like this. When we're in the box of possibilities, that end result, I don't care how far away it is, we feel it, we see it, we breathe it, we know it. And of course, when we're doing this, and when I work with clients, and even if you're not a client, you're adding meta-creation to this, because that's going to make a huge difference. And you're noticing how you feel throughout the day, all of the things. But understanding the model, the overall model, is what's really, really key here. And that's what my new book called Superconscious Creation. I think that's the name of it. It's still not done. I still have like another month before it goes to final edits, but it's about this whole model. Okay. So with that being said, let me give you an example. I just did a live in one of my Facebook groups, and I used a janitor as an example. So let me use a janitor here with you and see if you find it helpful. So let's say a janitor loves to make jewelry. And this is so funny because my cousins and I went to elementary school here in Sacramento, and I don't know if my aunt dated him or not, but he definitely had a crush on my aunt. Mr. Langley, I think was his name. And he used to make jewelry. He was a janitor who made jewelry. And I came up with this analogy, and then I'm like, oh, maybe that's why I came up with it, because he used to make jewelry. In fact, I think I still have a piece that my mom bought years ago, or that he gifted her. Anyway, a janitor who hates his job, who wants to make jewelry full time. So here he is, sweeping the hallways, hating what he's doing, because his dream, his end result, is making jewelry. But all he's focusing on is the fact that he's sweeping hallways. And he doesn't want to sweep hallways. He wants to make jewelry. That tension is going to have him, he's stuck in this box. That tension is going to make him go out and drink, or go bowling, or whatever he can do. Because remember, tension has to be resolved. We can't live with tension. It drives us crazy. We have to resolve the tension. Think of a rubber band being pulled. Like something's it's going to snap. So we have to resolve the tension. So what he does to resolve that tension is it's either not going to be healthy or it's not going to be productive towards his end result. Remember, it could be productive in what he's doing. Like he could sweep harder to get the energy out. He's resolving tension. It's not going to take him closer to his jewelry making business though, is it? Okay, now let's put the janitor in the box of possibilities. Now he's in touch, he's in tune, he's tapped in, he's turned on to that end result. He is gonna be the best jewelry maker ever. He can't wait to get off work because he gets to go home and work on a new tiger eye necklace. That's the one that I have that he made, is a tiger eye. He can't wait. He's so excited. And so what? The hallways are extra crowded tonight, kids litter, whatever. He's just sweeping them away because it's a means to an end. There's still tension, but he's using it productively. While he's sweeping, he's thinking, let's see, I can get online and I can see what local jewelry shows will be going on this spring, and I can sign up for some and I can take it there. And then I can work on this kind of necklace and that kind of bracelet. He's resolving the tension creatively, okay? Reactively, creatively. People always say there's a difference between reacting and responding. Yes, but when you are in the circumstance structure, you are reacting and responding to circumstances. Circumstances are running your life. When you're in the box of possibilities, you are creatively moving towards your end result. Circumstances come up, you're like, okay, yeah, let's deal with it. This is where my energy is. This is where my focus is. This is where the choices I make every day are all focused on that end result. We're still resolving tension, but as we resolve tension, each time we resolve a tension, we get closer. And that the tension we just resolved takes us to the next level of tension. Let me give you one more analogy before we go. Think about a map. Think about if you're going on a trip. I'm in Sacramento. I'm going to go see my daughter in Orange County. I have the map. I'm super excited. She's my end result. I get to go see her and my two little grandbabies. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to snuggle with them. I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to pull it. If I had a map, let's go old school here. Old school here. I have a map. I'm looking at it. And I get to the halfway point. That's a tension between where I am, like, I don't know, Bakersfield, and where I want to be, which is my daughter's house. That's a tension. Am I going to go? I never get where I wanted. I wanted to go there so bad. This sucks. I still have 3.5 hours. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. And I just turn around and come home. The circumstance, maybe I'm out of gas. Oh gosh, I got to find a gas station now. No. That's how silly it is, and how everyone, not everyone, but I'd say 95% of humans who think they have an end result, that's the box of circumstances that they're living in, is one little bump in the road, one little empty gas tank, one little, you're not here yet. That tension, it's so uncomfortable that we retreat. We retreat back to the circumstances because we don't want to deal with tension. But no, when I'm on that road trip and I see I still have 3.5 hours to go, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm halfway there. I'm so much closer. I may call her and say, guess what? I just passed Bakersfield, because I know the end result. I stop and get gas. I resolve that tension, right? Maybe I stop and have a shot of coffee if I'm feeling tired. I resolve that tension. I'm going to get the end result. That's all there is to it. You gotta pick an end result, and if it comes from your higher self, it's right for you. And you got to commit yourself to it, which is what the last video that we'll be talking about is. So that will be video 5 of 5. So anyway, this was kind of a long one. I hope it made sense to you, and I hope you can find a way to apply this in your life. Have a beautiful day, and thank you for watching.